Alright everyone, welcome back. So we continue on our season reviews here today with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Penguins, there was a lot of expectations heading into this year that this team would get back into the playoffs. They make a big splash in the offseason, acquiring Erik Karlsson, acquiring some other guys, and it didn't work out this year. It just simply, it didn't work out. The team didn't play bad in some stretches, but there were a lot of reasons why they just couldn't seem to get over the hump this year. They went 38, 32, and 12 for 88 points. They were 19th in the NHL. So I looked at my season preview for the Penguins, which is what I do for a lot of these. I watch my season preview before I do my season review. What I noticed was that I said a lot in the video that I thought the Penguins would make the playoffs, but I didn't think they would do anything in the playoffs. Well, I was wrong. They can't make the playoffs, let alone do anything in them. So yeah, this was a rough year for them. I do think, though, there were some numbers that looked solid, but again, you can kind of tell that this team is slowly regressing a little bit with the core that they have. They have a .537 points percentage. They have scored 255 goals and let in 251 for a +4 difference. So a nice little plus in the difference range there. Don't see that too often. They were 23, 14, and 4 at home, and they were 15, 18, and 8 on the road. So, again, home record was solid. Road record was subpar. Obviously, you can't really make the playoffs with a negative home record or negative road record. So, obviously, that was not ideal whatsoever. They had a 3.09 goals for per game, which was 19th. Not terrible, but still below average. They had a 3.02 goals against per game, which was 13th. That is above average, which is not bad. For a team that missed the playoffs, for sure. I do think, I will say this, their goaltending towards the end of the playoffs got substantially better, and it definitely plays a factor in, why this team got so close to the playoff line. But obviously, I think they were 3 points out, if I'm right. They just barely could not get over that hump. They had a 15.3 power play percentage, which is ranked 30th. Yeah, the power play was a major role, and it might be the main reason why this team didn't make the playoffs this year. If let's say you're even like 5% higher on the power play. Let's say you score every 1 in 5 power plays. Like, you're not even that. Like, let's say you're league average in the power play. I think you make the playoffs with this team. I think if this team could score more on the power play, they're a playoff team. There's no doubt in my mind. I honestly think that a team with Crosby, a team with Malkin, a team with Letang, Karlsson, I think this team should have made the playoffs this year. It just sucks because one of the reasons why was the god-awful power play. Then 80.7 penalty kill percentage, which was ranked 11th. So, the penalty kill was good. But still, the power play being third worst. Ironically, the Flyers, their brother, being even worse than that. It's not good. It's not ideal whatsoever. So, that's something that needs to be looked upon. And they did fire Todd Reirden, brought in David Quinn. We'll see how that goes. But honestly, they already tried to make efforts to fix that power play. We'll see what happens from there, though. So, in terms of guys who led this team in scoring this year, it's the same guy that's led them in scoring for the past 15 years. Sidney Crosby, 82 games played, 42 goals, 52 assists, 94 points. Still getting hard votes at his age, a well-respected player. I think if you want to point the finger at some players on this team, you don't point it at him. He's been amazing every single year, and I've gained a lot of respect for Crosby over the years as a Flyers fan. Please don't click off the video. Evgeny Malkin, 82 games played, 27 goals, 40 assists for 67 points. Malkin, this year wasn't ideal. I think you want to be better this year, but I think he's starting to regress a little bit when you look at his play. I definitely think, though, Malkin had a solid year at the very least. Brian Rust, 62 games played, 28 goals, 28 assists, 56 points. I'd say for the amount of time he missed, he had a pretty good season. Nearly a point per game there when missing about 20 games off the schedule. I think that last year was a very bad year for Russ, but this year's been a much better year, especially since he signed that contract that keeps him there for, I think, the next 3 years, I believe. I'm not good with memory. Erik Karlsson. This is the guy that I mentioned at the beginning of the video who they acquired. That was the massive trade they made. I don't know. I look back at that. I'm not really sure if that was worth it. 82 games played, 11 goals, 45 assists, 56 points. I think they would have been better off. And I understand where they were coming from when they made the deal. But I think they would have been better off keeping what they had, maybe going and getting someone that didn't cost as much, and having better off salary-wise. I feel like that would have been a better option than getting Carlson, in my opinion. Just looking back at it. When they initially acquired him, remember, Carlson had a 100-point season. He had a very good, he won the Norris Trophy in 22-23. So, obviously there was some optimism there, but again, he gets paid a lot. He's not a great defensive defenseman, and he was not going to score 100 points for you again. And he got nearly 50, he got nearly half of what he had last year. So, yeah, that's not ideal whatsoever, and I think that they probably lost that trade in hindsight, at least now, when you look at the first season, but we'll see. Michael Bunting, put an asterisk next to him because his full season was not played with just the Penguins. He got traded midway through from the Hurricanes in the Gensel deal. 81 games played, 19 goals, 36 assists for 55 points. Again, I think Bunting, he was a good acquisition for the Gensel trade. I think he makes it look a little bit better, but I do think that, in a couple of years, he will get better and better. He's still a solid, decently young. He's almost 30, honestly. He's a solid forward there who can contribute good offensively, so not a bad option there to have for a full season under Pittsburgh. Chris Letang had a very bad year. Letang, with 82 games played, 10 goals, 41 assists, 51 points. He had a really bad season. I can't say that enough. I think he played injured a lot this year too. It's been a rough last couple of years for Letang. I have nothing but respect for him though. I really like Letang. But it just stinks that, this year was a really bad year on top of many other pretty rough years previously. One of the highlights that sticks out was in that game against Arizona where they put it in their own net. So, yeah, not ideal. Riley Smith, 76 games played, 13 goals, 27 assists, 40 points. Smith, I guess he was okay. I thought they were going to trade him, but I guess the market wasn't good enough, or Dubas just said no. But Smith, I thought he was okay this year. I think he could have been better, though, considering the fact he was one of the guys they acquired in the offseason. Rickard Rakell had a down year. Rakell with 70 games played, 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. I think that at this rate, Rakell might not get that much better. This is a very rough year for him, so yeah, not ideal. Drew O'Connor. O'Connor with 79 games played, 16 goals, 17 assists, 33 points. O'Connor, I thought, had a pretty good year, honestly. He's a big reason why the penalty kill has been good as it is. He's a good penalty kill player, a good fourth-line guy, so I give a lot of credit there to O'Connor. And then finally, Lars Eller, 10th in scoring with 82 games played, 15 goals, 16 assists, 31 points. Not a bad depth scorer there for this team, but I think you want more. I think you want some more depth scoring. I think you want some more defensive depth. And then I think this team is a better shot at making the playoffs next season. But still, it's not ideal. That Carlson trade doesn't look great now. I'm not a fan of that whatsoever for the Penguins. Tristan Jarry was your leading goalie here. He's been for the last couple of years. He is yet again this year. Jarry with a 19-25-5 record with a 2.91 and a .903. Towards the end of the year, I thought he looked okay, but overall, at the start of the season, things were looking great, and I think that played a role in why this team just could not get over the playoff line. Nedeljkovic, though, I will say has had a solid year. 18-7-7, a 2.97 goals against, and a .902. I thought he had a good year. I think that considering the facts, I thought that Nedeljkovic, I think even towards the end of the season, had a pretty solid season. We'll see if they keep him around. I don't know if they have the cap space to do it. I think they do, but we'll see what Nedeljkovic wants to do, whether he wants to stay or move on somewhere else. But I do think that Nedeljkovic, a goalie who's bounced around the league a lot, had a pretty good year this year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So yeah, that's your stats and scores. I think that honestly, there are some numbers that definitely could be better for sure. I think that, obviously Carlson, his drop-off was very significant this year. from San Jose to Pittsburgh. And it's kind of shocking, too, because you'd think he'd be better under Pittsburgh, but he wasn't. I guess because in San Jose, he was the guy. In Pittsburgh, there's many other defensemen who are probably better than Carlson at this rate. So, obviously, that's not too ideal. But ins and outs, guys who came in and left throughout the season, we'll go with ins first. Mark Friedman, Will Butcher, Alex Nylander, Michael Bunting, Vasily Ponomarev, Cruz Lucius, a second, a fifth, and a seventh. I thought that they made out okay with the Gensel deal. You want a first-round pick, though, for someone like Jake Gensel. I think the prospects they got, I will talk about them in my prospect pool overview for the Penguins in this summer, but I think that you wanted more. You wanted a first-round pick at the very least, and they didn't get that this year, which was very disappointing. Outs, Jack Rathbone, Emil Bemstrom, Chad Ruedel, Jake Gensel, Magnus Hellberg, Ty Smith, and a sixth-round pick. I do think I have an error here. I don't think Nylander went to... I think Nylander went to the Blue Jackets, and they got Bemstrom back. I might be bugging, but I don't think they got Nylander. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. I'd like to apologize. I have an error on my board. I didn't realize Nylander went to the Blue Jackets, and Bemstrom went to the Penguins. I would like to apologize for that error that I made on my bracket. Another error. Yeah. Not fun. But overall, I do think that like the Gensel trade really kind of affected this team a lot. They actually got a little bit better after the Gensel deal, but I think that in terms of what they got back in return, it's not ideal, and I think that it kind of puts them in a weird spot heading into this offseason. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this team is heading in a really bad direction. I think that they still have like maybe 2 more years, 2, 3, 4 more years of contention, but I don't envision them getting past the first round. I don't see them getting past. I don't see them beating any of the teams that are better than them in this division. It just isn't ideal. I don't think it happens this year. So guys who are coming in through the draft capital, picks, not guys. No first round pick this year. That's not good whatsoever. You definitely wanted a first at least, but it's in San Jose. Two second round picks. No third, a fourth, no fifth, a sixth, and 2 sevenths. In this year's draft. So not bad capital, but you want a first. Like you can't be going into a team that is kind of in a weird direction. They're kind of like at a stalemate. They're between being really good and being really bad. They're just in the middle. You want prospects, and not having a first round pick doesn't make that ideal. Now UFAs and RFAs are thankfully very, very easy. You don't have a lot of guys that are expiring. UFAs, Jansen Harkins, I think you let him go, and Alex Nedeljkovic. I think you maybe try and keep Nedeljkovic around, but we'll see what he wants to do. We'll see what Nedeljkovic, where he wants to go exactly. RFAs, it's short. Bemstrom and Pierre-Olivier Joseph. So, Bemstrom, maybe you keep him around as a solid depth player. Joseph has been a good third-pairing defenseman the last couple of seasons. We'll see if they keep him around as well. But obviously, the Penguins are in a weird spot. I'd say they would want some defensive depth, maybe some offensive scoring a little bit. But, yeah, they're in a weird spot right now. And I think that's the price to pay after you win 3 Stanley Cups in the last couple of years. So, we'll see where this team goes from here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. But, yeah, the Penguins are in a very strange spot right now. And I'll be covering them next year. But regardless, thank you all for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.